Welcome to Prism, podcast of the University of the Philippines College of Architecture. The Prism project is an electronic newsletter published by the gender team at the University of the Philippines College of Architecture, published 3 times every semester. It informs UP College of Architecture faculty, staff, and students of relevant developments, updates, events and news concerning gender, equality, and women's empowerment in our community, profession, and extension work. The gender team also shares best practices of the work of colleagues and students. No matter who you are or the color of your skin, you are welcome in Prism.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Prism Podcast. I am Sarah, your gender and development focal point for the College of Architecture at the University of the Philippines. June is Pride Month, and we celebrate how love is love. I would like to welcome you to our Pride Month podcast 2023 to celebrate diversity, inclusivity, and equality. Let's stand together in love and acceptance. And happy Pride Month! Today, we have a very special guest with us, Professor Selena Balbino Santos from Environmental Landscape Studio Laboratory. Good morning and welcome to our Prism podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me here. I am a bit tired. I attended a convention this weekend. It was a bit crowded, but I enjoyed, but physically tired. So I'm just staying at home right now. And we're doing this via Zoom, at least.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our podcast when you're busy and tired. So,
Hmm.
June is a Pride month, and we are so happy to have you also today. We're just gonna go through some of the topics that it's related to Pride Month,
Mm-hmm.
about gender equality and designing for gender equality. So, shall we start with the first question? You
Yeah,
can also
sure.
expand. As a landscape architect, how gender influences our surrounding or our design, our environment? Um, would you like to share your thoughts, Selena?
All right. So, how does gender influence design? Sounds like a thesis question, but no, no, no. Okay, so for those who don't know me, I am a transgender woman. And yes, I'm teaching in the College of Architecture. I think I'm the first trans person teaching in this college, which is quite a, I don't know, quite a responsibility. Like
Yeah.
I have to put on a good face for our kind or something.
Mhm.
But it's all good. But because I'm transgender, it means I've treaded both walks of life. Uh, yeah, both the lives of men and women. I knew inside I was a woman, but socially I had to present as a guy growing up, and so I experienced the world and our inbuilt environment from the lens of a male presenting person first present before experiencing the world as a female presenting person. And I noticed a lot of differences in how I was able to interact with spaces. So like for example, my most favorite example is when I was a guy. I like to take long walks at night, even midnight, and because it was peaceful, no noise, no cars. It wasn't so hot, and I could hear the night, the silence of the night, interrupted every now and then by by crickets and all those night creatures. It was peaceful. And usually I go out to buy some food or just take a walk. Now, come transition time. After I transition, well, first time I tried to walk outside at night. Well, within 1 minute, I got catcalled by a tricycle driver. So I've never experienced that. So when I was presenting as a guy, which and it really shook me because I realized my life wouldn't be the same again because of how these different some how these different uh like experiences how different these experiences are between being a guy and a girl. So I realized that I couldn't suddenly I realized I learned suddenly I learned a fear of darkness at night. Whereas before I could tread through the darkness. Now I as a woman I feel unsafe when in the dark. Whereas when I was still presenting as a guy, I felt like I could take on anything because I thought it was rare to be assaulted or something. So what am I getting at here? I real A lot of things that I took for granted as a guy in the built environment are now things I have to really consider when I'm a girl. Like say stairs. Like if the stairs are see through, they bother me. Uh, mir- let's see, mirrors. They also help me because they help me like see what's behind me without turning back. Suddenly, I like crowds because crowds when it's crowded, you have lots of eyes on the street, and I feel much safer. So public places become much more important for me rather than private places where no one is there, no third party is there to keep others in check. So, what else? In terms of work, well, working as a landscape architect, as a guy versus a girl, they have different expectations of me now, which is partially affirming that hey, they're treating me like a girl now. But at the same time, it means that they'll talk over me, they'll ignore me when I make comments these days. So, uh, one hand makes me feel euphoric that I'm me feel a girl, and on the other hand, ew. So it's euphoric. But but in general, it's better to experience it as a woman. Oh, another thing, bathrooms. My goodness, like I realized how much space we women's bathrooms need, like because of the different anatomies or rather different perceived anatomies. Yeah, I we have to we need more stalls rather than just standing urinals. Technically, I still can use it, but I'd rather use the women's bathroom. And I realized the queues become longer, and suddenly I have a better appreciation of not equality but equity of space, of providing space. If that makes sense, like you need more space for women's bathroom needs. And yeah, these are just surface things that I realized without even trying to to without trying to notice them. They just come up in my daily life. So I can imagine someone who actually specializes in gender based design would really see all the nuances of the built environment when it comes to addressing male, female, and everyone in between.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing your experience, Elena. What about landscape architects? What do you think landscape architects can do to change the gendered landscapes?
Hmm. Okay. Landscape architects, they we know they create outdoor built environments. I'd say, ano, I'd say in general, the number one thing that landscape architects can do is to speak to, to speak to users of different, walks of life, not just your typical guys, typical girls. So also speak with other folks, other demographics, like trans people, for example. Before actually, yeah, not just trans people, but also non-binary people. Like it, we like it's hard to explain, but we queer people have different approaches to, like, yeah, we use the landscape differently in a way, but at the same time we most of the time we use the same way like any other person, but there's certain nuances which I it's hard to explain, but there's certain nuances that make make being transgender or non-binary or even just a woman different. The experiences of those types of people, of those demographics, different from your from the typical users. For example, let's say ergonomics. So with ergonomics, I'd say that hmm, with ergonomics, I'd say that since because of different gender roles, like what here's one thing. When I transitioned to woman, and then suddenly I realized my clothes have no pockets. Yeah, which is a surprise. Like I had all these fake pockets, but no actual place to put my stuff. So I realized that I needed a bag versus, and then suddenly I've noticed myself using up two seat spaces, one for me, one for my bag,
Yeah,
because I like to bring a lot of stuff. So suddenly the spatial requirements become so different before. Maybe I
that's
designed
right.
just put a bench. And then suddenly I realized why not put a bench as well as a place to put the bag, sabitan, if you will, or another platform. Diba?
Yeah,
Yeah, so but that's superficial. More, unless I guess maybe one consideration that's a bit we can see a bit deeper would be the sense of safety. Yes, like say again with bathrooms, but not just bathrooms, but anything that's pointlessly gendered. Like if I maybe I can probably pass. I definitely pass, and I can go into bathrooms and such without being clocked. But what about trans people who aren't as passable? What about non-binary people who don't identify as either? Where do they go? So it's not just bathrooms. It's let's say as simple as the lines in MRTs, diba? Or the queues, ganon.
that's
And I
right.
guess yeah, and I guess yun nga, going back to what I mentioned there, where I realized I brought a lot of stuff with me all the time because of my purse. Parang it's not just purses, it's strollers when you're a mother. Other like stuff like makeup in your bag adds to the bulk, and basically it's like you have to design for more than just the single person. It's also everything they have. Because when I was presenting as a guy, like literally keys wallet full in my ano, and then suddenly like it's easy to just stand wait for hours. But as a woman, I'm socially expected to wear heels, so I need to rest and then carry big heavy bag. So suddenly seating becomes much more important. Lighting for safety becomes more important. The promotion of crowd of eyes on the street through crowds more important for overall safety. It's a whole thing, and I don't claim to be an expert in gender based design, but even so, just from my own personal experiences, I can already tell that there is a lot to this than just this is for man, this is for woman. So I think there, yun nga, we landscape architects need to explore much more. Like I'm sorry, could give a much more deeper,
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and also your thoughts, Selena. Thank you. Do you have any word of inspiration you would like to share to our audiences?
more what? Sorry.
A word of inspiration.
Be
Hmm.
yourself. It's so much easier. Like, the handbags are heavy enough, so yeah. It's better if you let go of if you be your true self and stop on it. Yeah, be your true self because it's gonna be easier to course through life, even if amidst all the discrimination, amidst all the prejudice. It's still easier than pretending to be to be someone you're not, to stay in the show. And I guess in general for designers, like talk to your talk to your users, because it's never a one size fits all. Okay, so the more nuance, the more specified your designs are for a user group, the better it will be, because it will better cater to their needs. And yeah, that's all from me.
Thank you so much. And that would be all for today. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Happy Pride Month,
And
Selena.
happy
And
Pride Month,
happy
everyone.
Pride Month, everyone. Thank you. And until next time.
All right.
And thank you all for listening. I am Sarah, and I would like to invite you again to listen in next time.